It's the radio guy, Mike Prince. Welcome back to another special session here. As you know, we are in the midst of football season, and I am so fortunate to have on the line joining us today by way of Huntsville, Alabama. I affectionately call him a Southern Bulldog. I'll introduce to some and present to others none other than Brother Mo Carter. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, Mr. Prince, I'm doing well. Always good to talk and hear from you. I know it's been a while since we've actually kind of linked up on the avenue of basically just talking SWAC football and HBCU athletics. So I appreciate the invite and look forward to chatting with you and trying to also provide some information to some listeners that they may not know from the previous.
Absolutely. For those who are wondering why I call him the Southern Bulldog, of course, he is a graduate of Southern University. He is now the sports director for Alabama A&M sports, in particular football, as we're in the thick of things through the Fox affiliate there. And the first thing we want to touch on, man, you guys have welcomed a new athletic director in the ranks of a Paul Bryant.
Yes, sir. The athletic director search is officially over. Paul Bryant takes over now as the athletic director on the Hill at Alabama A&M. People in the SWAC may recognize the name because of his work that he did at Grambling State, not too long ago. And most recently, he was at Rewarders, where he was where he was in the process of continuing to help elevate that program, especially from an athletic standpoint, and elevate them up from the NAIA standpoint, really to the D2 fronts. I know they still have a few more hurdles to go ahead and go, but they're in that transitional phase right now. So he's very, very good as far as kind of not just uplifting the athletic programs, but doing a lot of fundraising as well. I got a chance to talk to Dr. Daniel Williams, the current president of Alabama A&M, at a function over the summer, and I just asked about the athletic director, and he was like, hey, at the end of the day, not only do I want someone who can do the job, I also want someone who can excel and do even beyond things that the typical person may not do in that position, which includes not only running your program smoothly, keeping the APR things going well, but also fundraising. I mean, right now, the city of Huntsville, it is blowing up tremendously. Various businesses are coming here. Matter of fact, Huntsville, the city, just bypassed Birmingham when it comes to total population, and the growth is just continuing to go. The housing market is crazy up here or whatever. But the key thing is new businesses. And Dr. Williams did say that he wanted the next person to come in and try to build those relationships with those businesses to where they know who Alabama A&M is. Because when you have new businesses that come in, that means you have new eyeballs on the product, which also means that that's new relationships you can build to propel your school, your athletic program, and your university into the future. So he kind of checked all those boxes and whatnot. Unfortunately, I was not able to be at the press conference this past weekend, but we did have someone there from my station. And when I talked to them the other day, they were like, hey, guy sounds sharp. He's got a nice plan, and he's looking forward to make some things happening. I'm looking forward to linking up with Mr. Bryant very, very, very soon. As soon as he kind of gets himself acclimated here in Huntsville, look for me to probably do like a little sit down with him to kind of pick his brain about what the future of A&M looks like through his eyes.
Well, I did get a chance to listen to that press conference, and he did sound very energetic, very focused, and I might even say rejuvenized that he has been back in the D1 rankings. He did an exceptional job at Edward Waters in a relatively short time. So when you look at it, and this might seem a bit awkward, but I'll just have to ask it anyway because I'm an awkward type dude, right? We know that Brian Hicks, who is now in the Southwestern Athletic Office, he was the former athletic director. Did he leave much meat on the bone for Paul Bryant to work with, or do you believe he'll have to start from scratch to build those relationships you were talking about for fundraising?
No, I think he left some meat on the bone for Dr. Bryant to go ahead and work with moving forward. It's not like the well is dry when it comes to great coaches and great people to work with at Alabama A&M. And, obviously, you have some, especially from a coaching standpoint. I mean, you do have some successful coaches like Connell Maynor and Margaret Richard with the women's basketball team. You also coach Otis Hughley, starting up with the men's basketball squad. And of course, speaking of basketball, don't forget the brand new arena for Alabama A&M will make its debut this fall for the basketball season. So, you think about a caveat that a new athletic director gets a chance to be like, man, I'm going to be able to walk around here, figure this out, get this going and whatnot, and find a way to kind of rejuvenate things from a basketball standpoint. So I think he does have, some things to work with from the meat on the bone standpoint. And the most interesting thing, too, is that, Brian Hicks going to the SWAC office kind of still allows him basically to pick up the phone and be like, hey, Brian, I got a question about this. I got a question about this, from an athletic standpoint. So that relationship should possibly be strong moving forward. But obviously, you have to look at it like this, too. Things that Hicks did, not exactly sure that Paul's going to do it. But at the same time, Paul appears to be a guy that he's very energetic about what he wants to do moving forward. So he may kind of take his notes and then be like, all right, let's move forward with my plan.
Absolutely. Now, he did make a reference to that he said he got to assess some things before he can know fully which direction he needs to head in. And one thing that Paul Bryant brings to the table that is in somewhat of a need for the Bulldog Nation is that he has a strong compliance background and can help adjust some of the APR challenges, not just at A&M, but all of our SWAC schools can use some type of aid when it comes to APR because it seems to be a moving target. But I'm not going to even get on that because we'll be here for a whole nother hour or two, and I know you don't have that kind of time, sir.
Yeah, time is of the essence, Dr. Prince. But sure, maybe that conversation is just probably for a phone call between you and I.
I know that's right. That's one of them off the record conversations that we'll have dive in detail. But meanwhile, we're going to move on with some of the latest things that have been happening. Some look at the glass half empty. Some look at the glass half full. With this latest deal with HBCUGO. Now, I know with you working in the TV market in that Huntsville area, you have been able to actually receive some very solid information on some of the impact that this deal can have for that Huntsville area. Can you bring us up to speed on that?
Yeah, so I'll go back to the month of May. I get pulled into one of our financial account managers' offices or whatever, and guy was like, "Hey man, we got something on the table that may actually look pretty good moving forward." And I was like, "Okay, what's going on?" It was like, "We got this HBCU football package," and I was like, "Is this the Byron Allen deal that they had been talking about?" And the guy I was talking to, he was like, "I think it is. I remember seeing a press release a few months ago, but there's not too much, that I can really tell." But then I looked at the schedule and I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely the Byron Allen deal from it. Of course, keep in mind, this is in May. This is way before games started leaking or whatever stuff, even though I had seen all the games that were on there on the original schedule. Now, obviously, the schedule has changed due to various other things. But, at the time, that was kind of like beginning stages of Byron Allen's network working with local television markets to basically create a syndication package. And basically, I can kind of compare it to two things. One, I can compare it to how Jefferson Pilot, throwback right there, Jefferson Pilot was able to elevate the SEC, especially from a football brand in the 1980s and 90s, a little bit into 2000s. It wasn't until I probably got into high school that I realized that those Jefferson Pilot games were not all nationally branded. But the SEC had got so popular that it's like, oh man, this local market in this Midwest town or this northern town or what, they want to see SEC football, so they're finding a way to put it on either their regular channel or their subsidiary channel or whatever, which nowadays would be like your .1, your .2, your .3, something of that nature. So with that being said, I kind of looked at it like that, and I also kind of looked at it similar to early 2000s when MBC, M as like the first initial of my name, had started doing the HBCU football games, and I remember they had a deal with several local UPN networks at the time to simulcast or to syndicate their games as well. Because I remember in high school, like, man, UPN 54 out of New Orleans, I was able to watch a lot of HBCU games or whatever that NBC had as their secondary. So when it all comes to it or whatever, basically now with the HBCUGO deal, of course, Byron Allen is going to be showing 11 games this upcoming year on a various of networks, whether it's the app, whether it's the website, hbcugo.tv, these local syndicated markets. And then I also heard the other day that now they're going to go ahead and also air those games on the Griot TV, which is now the rebranded television channel for what used to be Black News Channel. Byron Allen purchased that about a month or two ago as well. So I feel like this, it's the secondary deal, and no matter how you feel about it, I just want people just to understand that it's a secondary media rights deal, and it's an opportunity to put more HBCU athletic competition games, primarily football right now, but it's supposed to be adding some more things or whatever. In an opportunity, it gives an opportunity for more HBCU products to be shown in markets that are urban and also markets that maybe somebody has never even much heard of SWAC just in general, but they may have that chance to be like, oh, this looks pretty good. This looks pretty entertaining or whatever. So I kind of applaud the front office and Byron Allen and also Mr. Simons as well for kind of making this happen. And I just feel like it's another opportunity for some good exposure moving forward.
No doubt about it. And you made the mention of being able to extend that brand in markets that would pretty much be just null and just absent to the SWAC brand and HBCU brand of athletics, in this case football. So you got some 12 major markets and plus a spillover of regional markets that this could be. Now, when you're looking at this from a business standpoint, this doesn't do anything but, at least for me, have me salivating at the primary rights that will be coming up in 2 years that you have with ESPN. Because if you can secure this $120 million deal, and a lot of people are saying, well, it was 10 years and that was too long, and maybe not. That is to be determined. But once again, that is tier 2 broadcasting. We're not talking about tier 1 broadcasting. Now you can bring to the table with your primary conversation, whether it's ESPN or whoever else decides to come in and sit at the table. Okay, I want anywhere between 3 and 5 years. The max that I would go will be 5 years, but I'm going to need $75 million. And if you can't answer that, you might as well give up your seat and let the next person come on in.
And Dr. Prince, everything you just said, no, I totally agree with you on that one. I really want the fans and the listeners and the viewers who follow HBCU athletics to understand how important this secondary deal with Byron Allen's group is, primarily not just because of the exposure, but also it's just so important because it's always going to give the Southwestern Athletic Conference a leg up at the negotiating table, especially if the viewership for these games go well, which obviously I'm trying to be very, very, very positive about this and whatever and whatnot, but I have a feeling they will go. Also, one game 1 week probably won't draw as much as another game, whatever, but like you have those eyeballs, it's going to be good. So all of a sudden, when you bring that to the negotiation table, Dr. McCullough's got that extra ammunition, as I would like to say, when it comes to negotiating or whatever. All it does is going to help the brand when it comes to what the new deal is going to be in about 2 to 3 years, give or take, from the negotiation standpoint. So I understand people are quote unquote skeptical about the Byron Allen deal, but I like it because it's something that, even though it may seem to be a little long, You just understand that he, as in Dr. McClellan, he's at the table with this knowing that, like, well, look, if I got this for a secondary, obviously my primary needs to be a little bit better in this sense, or it needs to be a little bit more advanced. So, he's got, I'm not going to say the luck of the draw, but he's got a hot hand. I'm going to go ahead and say that when it comes to his negotiation things. And obviously, this is kind of a deal you've really never seen before from a secondary standpoint. So I got to say that's a game changer as well.
Yes, sir. And, you made reference earlier, and we might as well address the elephant in the room. HBCUGO had some Jackson State games. Campbell, and I forget the other one. It's escaping me right now. Bethune-Cookman. Exactly, Bethune-Cookman. And, of course, ESPN went back and grabbed those guys up. And we know it's about ratings because, let's be honest, Deion Sanders does move your needle. And anything that could hinder the competition from moving that needle in a positive direction, ESPN went back and took advantage of their primary position to gobble those things up. Now, you see all that and you see it developing, but that's one of those things that comes with the territory. And I say all that to say this. I've been a very vocal person against the ESPN deal, and you don't have to respond to this, sir. I just want to give you a disclaimer right now. This is Mike Prince show, and this is Mike Prince speaking right now. I've always felt that ESPN has undervalued our brand. They have mistreated our brand. The scrappings that they were throwing to our schools, and we were gobbling it up as happy little larks without any other avenues or areas that we can go and display our brand. Now that we have that, they're going to have to poop or get off the pot right now.
Oh no, I'm with you on that. I'll add to everything you just said too, Mr. Prince. Along with some of the things you just said, you also have to think about this too: is that Dr. McClellan has only been able to tweak the current contract or whatever so much. For example, spring 2021, that season, the opportunities for games to be elevated to like ESPN and ESPN2 because he was able to tweak the little wording and writing in the negotiation of the contract to allow ESPN to flex those games. If not, we would have not seen Southern versus Jackson on the main ESPN channels. We would have not seen Alabama A&M against Jackson on the main ESPN channels, or the SWAC championship game on ESPN2. It was all because he was able to tweak the contract to where he could say, ESPN, you have the right now to flex those games. And you think about something like that may be so simple, but there's some hurdles and hoops you have to jump over and go through to make some things happen. So the fact that when the next contract negotiation comes up and McClellan is going to be at the table with everything he has going or whatever, it's going to be a definite change. I know we're talking about HBCU athletics or whatever, but I want to use a comparison that people may understand and may know. So obviously I'm here in SEC country. I cover Alabama and cover Auburn as well. When I was in Montgomery, Alabama, Mississippi State and Ole Miss were going through some of the better years that they had ever had or whatever. When Dak Prescott was the quarterback, Mississippi State, he was a Heisman Trophy, he was in the running or whatever and stuff. Mississippi State was number one. Well, I can tell you this. For years, even before I even got into broadcasting as a sports director, I remember the Iron Bowl being on CBS every Saturday after Thanksgiving on CBS for years. And then all of a sudden, Mississippi State and Ole Miss get good. The people at CBS were like, man, we need to put the Iron Bowl on CBS and, kind of relegate the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State versus Ole Miss. We need to put that game on CBS, and we need to let the Iron Bowl go, whatever, and go. Well, guess what? CBS could do that because CBS is the primary rights holder for SEC football, and then after that is ESPN, and then ESPN2 and U and all that. So I have witnessed that situation before where whoever the primary rights holder is, they can go ahead and they can flex the game and move those games to their main whatever, and then the other games have to kind of be relegated. So for 2 years in a row, I literally watched the Iron Bowl go from a 2:30 game on CBS in that primary spot to being a evening game on ESPN or whatever. Now, obviously, when time has rolled around, that has not, like, I think after those 2 years, next thing you know, everything else kind of just went back, and now Iron Bowl's been on, CBS, almost a clear decade straight now or whatever. But that's the basic comparison to why you see Jackson State games being elevated to ESPN family of networks instead of being on HBCUGO, because ESPN has that right to do so from a contract standpoint on the primary side, and you see it also too in other arenas. I mean, if you look at the NFL, think about when you get to week 13, 14, and you start seeing like those games that were supposed to be on like Sunday night football or Monday night football being relegated to like Sunday at noon or something, and then you change those games and move them to Sunday night football and Monday night football. It's the same thing. So if you did not know that and you're listening, now you know why all those things happen.
Absolutely. And this is not the first time that ESPN had taken advantage of their position. When the MEAC was working out a deal with Flow Sports, and ESPN got wind, hey, you guys are going to be streaming your games on Flow Sports? No. We got a platform, and you guys are going to come stream your games over here. And that's how the MEAC is in the position that they're in right now. I'm liking the position that the SWAC is in, and they're in a strike position, I would call it. And we'll keep an eye out on how this thing develops, and we'll talk, I'm pretty sure, down the road. But you know what it is, Mo? It's football season.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to talk a little football. We got a MEAC SWAC challenge. Now, I'm a SWAC guy. You're a SWAC guy. And let's be honest, we have struggled against the MEAC in the MEAC SWAC challenge, and definitely in the Celebration Bowl. How do you see this game coming out between Alabama State and Howard, sir?
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, it is really interesting. You look at the records and you see the struggle that the SWAC has had against the MEAC, both in that challenge and also in the Celebration Bowl. Not to toot my own horn here, but I can say that I've been on one of the teams. I've been a member of one of the football teams that actually won for the SWAC in the SWAC MEAC challenge. I was a member of that Southern football team in 2007 that beat Florida A&M back when the MEAC SWAC challenge was in Birmingham, as a matter of fact. Boy, it was a hot day on that weekend too. Good Lord, man. We had people getting IVs and everything. The thing I remember the most about that game was I remember Brian Lee, our quarterback, he scored a touchdown, and he cramped up probably right as he scored the touchdown. So all the offensive linemen were literally carrying him off the field to the sideline so he could go, get some water and get some IVs in him or whatever, because like I said, that's just how hot it was. So kudos to Dr. McClellan and anybody else, whoever had the works in being able to move the SWAC MEAC challenge to an evening time slot.
Yes, sir.
To where, sure, it's still going to be warm, but it's not going to be as warm, if you know what I mean. But as far as this year's matchup, obviously you got Howard going up against Alabama State. Alabama State, they have a new coach in Eddie Robinson Jr. For people, really, I guess, in the Houston market and close to the market where you are, a lot of people definitely know of his time from basically living out there, and also he was a member of the Houston Oilers for a number of years before turning around and going and play for the Tennessee Titans later on. So, yes, Coach Robinson does not have the long-time coaching experience, but I've always said this. The guy knows the game of football. He was an ESPN HBCU football color analyst in the mid to late 2000s. And then when I worked in Montgomery and I was the play-by-play person for Alabama State, for majority of the games, he was my color analyst on the radio broadcast. And let's just say this. When you got a guy who knows exactly what's going on and what should be going on, and, oh, man, they should have ran this and ran that. Like, those X's and O's really, really can translate to a good coaching scheme. Now, he's also added a pretty good staff. My only thing with Alabama State is the unknown. I know they lost several guys. They added a lot of guys from the transfer portal, and this is going to be the first time that they are really, really getting together in competition that actually counts. And we know sometimes it clicks, sometimes it doesn't. So in that standpoint, I would only give an advantage to Howard just because this team has kind of been together a number of years now or whatever. So they kind of know their schemes here, there, and everywhere. But if Alabama State can utilize the abilities of some of their playmakers, including Mr. Demetrius Davis, who's also from outside the Houston area, the Auburn transfer. If you can find a way to get that guy to make a lot of plays, and it could be a long night for Howard, all in all. Now, Prince, I'm going to go ahead and say this too, and this is just something I just see each and every year. It's week 0. It is the first football game of the season. Actually, I think on the calendar, it'll probably be about number 5 or 6 that day, but you get what I'm saying.
It's the first game that counts to us.
Yes. Well, look, even though it's the first game that counts to us, we're going to see some ugly football on Saturday.
Oh, I understand. That.
Goodness. We're going to see some ugly football on Saturday. So, with that being said, I also want people to understand that it's not going to be the greatest thing in the world. We're not going to see no world beaters going on. But, you'll be happy to see football in that standpoint. So, but prepare yourself. You could see some sloppy football, all in all. But, yeah, I'll probably give Howard a slight advantage just because their team has been together just a little bit. But if Bama State does pull it off or whatever, I know they're definitely doing it because Coach Robinson was able to kind of rally the troops quick, fast, and hurry and basically let them understand that you buying into what I want to bring to the table, and that's, restoring glory to an Alabama State program that's had the players, I think, through the years to win championships. They've just never been able to just get over that threshold to actually snag those titles.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to give you a slightly rough time right now. Okay. And I think you're picking Howard simply because you're an Alabama A&M Bulldog guy. And, but that's okay, though. That's okay. That's just like if I had to pick between Prairie View and Texas Southern. I'm going to ride with my purple and gold all day long and twice on Sunday. But you make a lot of valid points. But for some strange reason, I know that Howard is coming off of somewhat of a disappointing year last year. I just think with the newness that's going on at Alabama State, the energy and the synergy that is flowing, I think they're going to pull it off. And we'll get a chance to recap and revisit when it's all over with. It will be some ugly football, but the key thing is it will be some football. And we are looking so forward to that. And you know what, brother? I'm looking forward to talking to you throughout the course of the season if you're up to it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a text away, and after that, we're a phone call away to get the thing rolling. And yeah, I definitely would love to talk to you about, more items going on throughout the year. If you need a Alabama A&M update, I can give you somewhat of it. I mean, I don't want to give too much away because then here comes the Coach Manor going to come on track me down. He's going to be like, man, you're giving away our game plan.
I know. He's going to go Ric Flair on you, man. You don't want him going Ric Flair on you, man.
Nah, no, you don't want that. Woo! The SWAC is in trouble the next time they see a Ric Flair impersonation from Coach Maynard.
I know that's right. Look, Mo, would you let people know how they can get in contact with you, my man?
Absolutely. On social media, Twitter, you can follow me at Mo Carter, MoCarter, Fox 54. Mo Carter, Fox 54. And then also on Facebook, it's literally the same thing, Mo Carter, Fox 54. Obviously, I tweet out a lot of things HBCU related, a lot of stories and content that I do, and I'm just not a football guy too. Like if it's a big story, it's probably going out or whatever. I'll tell you this, Prince. The other day, obviously Nick Saban signed a new contract extension to keep him there one more year.
Yes, sir.
So I think he'll now be there. He'll now be at Alabama through like 2029, the 2029 season. I think he'll be 77 years old by then, and now also too, his extension now puts him at $11.7 million salary, which puts him $0.5 million ahead of Kirby Smart, now make him the highest paid coach once again. I'll be honest with you. Had it not been had it not been an election day here, I would have probably led news that day because of that story.
Oh, no doubt about it. And when you listen to his salary alone, unfortunately, it is more than some of our athletic budgets throughout the conference. And something that I didn't touch on, but the NCAA is addressing right now, they might be changing some standards on NCAA Division I athletic programs. And we'll have to discuss that down the road, man. And it's really going to be intriguing, exciting, and some might even call it a moving target. So that's a teaser for the next time we get a chance to get together. He is Mo Carter. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. We want to thank you so much for joining in with us. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter at The Mike Prince Show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Be sure to visit the website at obnradio.com. And don't forget, we have the 24-hour dial-in message line, 713-570-6736. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.